Welcome to a new episode of Chummy Thumbs podcast. Today we come to you as a truly international podcast coming out of Canada and Hong Kong, where Mr. Xiao is joining us from today. Not only are we international ourselves, but so are our listeners. Justin has a quick shout out to all of our new international family.
Yeah, we're all based out of Canada, so we love it when we see people tuning in from abroad. So just want to quickly shout out y'all new listeners from USA, Japan, Ukraine, France. I don't know, those are terrible. And Australia. And hopefully we didn't lose you after that. Anyways, thank you so much for tuning in each week. We love having you here. Hope you're enjoying the show. Back to you, Hayden.
Alrighty then, that was fantastic. Today we continue on with our weekly watch fest of the Disney Plus / Hulu drama thriller series, Paradise. Today we'll focus on episodes 3 and 4. In these episodes, the narrative takes us deeper into the backstories of several characters and unveils significant plot twists that flip the story's trajectory on its head. Firstly, episode 3, The Architect of Social Wellbeing. Agent Xavier, our main squeeze, Mr. X, seeks answers from Dr. Torabi, the dome's resident psychologist, about her unexpected support during his interrogation. Their time spent together reveals layers of personal history. We learn of Xavier's strained relationship with his father, a pilot who was concealing his Parkinson's disease to continue flying, and subsequently his self-retirement at the hands of his own son, which causes a rift between the two that they never get the chance to repair. We also learn of the tragic loss, in inverted commas, because I don't think that she is actually dead, of X's wife during the extinction event and the circumstances he partly attributes to President Bradford's inaction. We also find out about the role that Dr. Torabi plays in the selection of individuals for the underground community, and it's quite a large one, implying a deeper connection to X's past and his present circumstances. We also learn more about agents Billy Pace and Jane Driscoll and their relationship. The episode culminates in an intimate moment between X and Dr. Torabi, where secret messages are shared and loyalties are questioned. And then episode 4, titled Agent Billy Pace. This episode goes deep into Agent Billy Pace's backstory, shedding light on his complex history. He comes from a troubled youth. Billy's early life was filled with violence, an abusive uncle, murder, jail sentence, and recruitment as a mercenary. This role, the skill set that eventually earned him his place in the underground community under Sinatra's directive, whereby she enlists him as a personal assassin, eliminating threats to maintain her vision of order. We learn that the air outside the bunker is breathable, and that life may be able to exist still, and that it isn't even the biggest shocker of the episode. These episodes deepen the narrative complexity of Paradise, exploring themes of trust, betrayal, and the moral ambiguities faced by individuals in a controlled dystopian environment. Boys, I know that was a lot to digest, but let us begin.
All I heard, Hayden, was that those 2 episodes gave us viewers the devil's inch. It just took us a little bit deeper, if you know what I mean.
Oh, yeah. I don't know where to start. I mean, I guess, because I did watch them kind of continuously, and I having a little bit of memory failure, also because I'm extremely jet lagged, of the difference between 3 and 4. I just don't remember. Where did 3 start off?
3 kind of starts off, that's more heavy on like the beginning of X and the doctor sort of meeting,
Yes, okay,
wanting more information about her dad, because he has, of course, it's revealed, she says he's the only one in any therapy session who's ever pled the 5th in a therapy session.
Yes.
It's really interesting because we sort of find out that I mean, the episode title, the architect of social well-being, and we find out she was recruited by Sinatra to sort of lead the charge in who gets in and who doesn't get in. And it seems like, they've kind of searched out grieving people, like, I don't know, who are maybe looking for a connection or something like that. They kind of allude to something like that. And then we find out that, she handpicked X as the wild card because she wanted somebody who no matter what happens in this dome is going to do the right thing no matter what. And then so that got me thinking actually right away is, she was hired by Sinatra because we find out in sort of flashbacks that she was the assigned grief therapist, psychiatrist for Sinatra and her husband when they found out that their son had terminal cancer, and they're paying for all the top doctors, all this and that, and it's not good. And the doctor basically says to Sinatra, hey, look, here's somebody that you guys should talk to. Basically, this isn't going to end well. And Sinatra is fighting it. We'll pay for more. There's this doctor in Japan. There's this doctor in Ukraine. There's this doctor in France. All these great doctors just happen to be from these three lovely countries in USA and Australia. And anyways, I digress. But so that's where they first meet. And then obviously they build up a bond and a relationship. And then when this is going to happen, she wants Doctor, what's her name again? Doctor what?
Torabi?
Narabi?
Torabi.
Torabi.
Oh, okay. Gabriella, I think her name is.
Yeah, Gabriella. Let's call her Dr. Gabriella. She's G. Dr. G, is kind of hesitant to just be with her full time. And she's like, I'll pay you really well. Obviously, she does it. Anyways, what I'm getting to is they obviously have this long history together, and especially her as her psychiatrist, she probably knows and has analyzed Sinatra for quite some years. So when she gets tasked with sort of selecting this group of people that are going to be in the dome, why does she feel like she needs a wild card? Is that just a safety, or is there something bigger going on that she might suspect with Sinatra? Because as we find out in whatever episode it is, 4, I think, maybe even 3, like the air is breathable outside of the dome. So I wonder if this is something maybe she suspects about Sinatra is trying to, I don't know, take control or take advantage. Like Sinatra's definitely running the show. President is a puppet. Like everybody knows who's a higher up, that Sinatra's the one calling the shots. So I don't know if you guys kind of thought about that at all, but instantly I was like, why would you need a wild card? Why would you need somebody who no matter what is going to do the right thing if you didn't suspect that maybe there might be something shady that goes on?
There's definitely a lot of shadiness going. I mean, if these 2 episodes, and I mean, maybe 1 through 4 even, it's like you don't really know who you can trust, I guess, in this little world of theirs. And I have a suspicion too that Dr. G is, I think she's up to something as well. I don't know. I just keep thinking about the fact that she wants to dig deep into, or just trying to get closer to X for another reason. I don't know yet, but I have my suspicions that she might also not turn out to be who we think she is. And maybe her motives also aren't so good too. That's just a weird feeling that I have. I think some of the questions she's been asking X, and the fact that they kind of they slept together and everything, that I think she's trying to gain her trust and trying to get in somewhere through him, and I don't know. Maybe, well, okay, well, the big bombshell, we're gonna get to that, right? On episode 4, there's a big bombshell at the end, and that's kind of all I can think about, because that's such a good setup, good hanger to the next thing. Because if we're in the middle of the season now, and this is when it starts to get really juicy,
we're gonna get some info. Yeah,
Yeah, so I don't know. I feel like if they have that past, Dr. G and Sinatra, maybe they're all somehow in something together. I don't know, but that's kind of
So from a story, just like analyzing this from a storytelling perspective, right? Okay,
right.
it's a classic whodunit,
Yeah.
but it's not like I don't think they're gonna go the cheese route. I mean, I'm just gonna drop the bombshell that happened at episode 2, end of episode 4, because it kind of plays in. But
Yeah.
for example, I really liked Billy. I liked him, and then as soon as I saw that they were making him out like he was gonna be a bad guy, like one of the
Mm.
bad guys, like the guy who killed Cal Bradford, because they set it up. They show that they sent this research team out, Cal Bradford, and maybe that's why they killed Cal, is because he's starting to find out that, or found out that the air is breathable, and that information couldn't get out. But anyways, um, they show that he had killed the people that went out there because they found out too that the air is breathable, and obviously whoever was running Sinatra, or sorry, who's ever running Billy, we assume Sinatra, didn't want that information out to the general public. So they kind of set up like, okay, he is this mercenary guy. He's got a past. He's from prison. He's had a rough upbringing, kind of everything pointing to, hey, this is going to be the main bad guy. And then we find out that he wasn't. And I was so relieved. I was like, oh, thank God. I like Billy. He can't be the bad guy. Oh, and then they fucking killed him. I was like, what? No, like, what's worse? I don't know what's worse, if he's a bad guy or they killed him. I thought they did it really well with Jane, the one doing it, and that line, like, she said, you said to send the biggest motherfucker she had. Well, that's me. And I was like, oh, damn. But so what I'm getting at is they're not sort of going the classic route. So the classic route viewing it would be like, okay, X is the good guy, G is the good girl, Sinatra is the bad girl. But I could see them doing something, Shao, now that you mention it, where they're doing all this setup with Dr. G sort of being this like good, likable person, and her turning out to be some sort of villain. Whereas they're setting it up for Sinatra to be the villain because she's got the power and she's in control and she's no bullshit and she's like, just that strong, powerful, I'm running this ship and I'm running a tight ship personality. So you assume, okay, she's the villain in all this. But I could see them completely like flipping that at
Right.
some point.
Yeah. Yeah,
Hayden?
that moment too. Like, yeah, as soon as I think the episode 3 cliffhanger wasn't it of Billy holding a gun or something like that? Like,
He
yeah,
was outside of
right. That was
X's
when X
house with a
found
gun.
out that he was. Was that when X found out he was lying to him too about, or like hanging up, or sorry, ignoring his messages or something? You remember when X was staking out his home and
Yeah.
saw, like, messaged him and saw that he looked at the phone and then put it down. And so now the audience is supposed to suspect that he's, you know, no good and he's up to something.
Yeah.
Then he had a gun or something like that. And then the episode 4, I think, starts off with the flashback with young Billy um, hunting with his uncle that he murdered.
Don't hesitate. Yeah.
Yeah,
That
don't
was a big scene.
hesitate. Yeah. So yeah, I'm with you too, Justin. When that happened, I thought about the timeline of the whole trajectory of the season. I was like, it's no way it's him, because I don't think they would reveal this the killer or the mole or what do you want to call it on episode 3. So I kind of already was kind of thinking what they were doing with that, but I liked how they, I guess you can say, fooled the audience into thinking that he's the uh, protagonist, no, sorry, antagonist, and then he's actually, really turned his life around when he was indeed a insane killer. Um, and now he has like a new start, he has a family. That was a really sweet scene. I love his arc, and yeah, I just don't know where to go
Mhm.
from here. I'm really sad that he's not going to be a part of this show anymore.
So that's watching these 2 episodes back to back. I felt for just a smidgen of the episode that the writers didn't actually have their answers yet, Because if you look at things in episode 3, they juxtapose with things that happen in episode 4 so harshly. I'm like, what? Like, why would Sinatra go to their whole business about being pissy at Billy and Jane about them turning the cameras off because they were playing Wii games together? Like, why would she go through that whole debacle and have them be main suspects, and then she'd be like, well, the bloody hell, you... Like, she would already have known, because she orchestrated their relationship, as we find out in episode 4. She clearly put Jane in the path of Billy because she knew, probably through Dr. G, that Billy had these, like, attachment issues. He had no family, he had no one loving, so that she pawned that shit, like, straight away. Was like, yep, put her, like... So I felt like there were things there that didn't make sense in 3 to 4 for just a smidge. I was like, I don't quite... I watched it and I was like, I feel like they wrote 3 and then some other team wrote 4. I should have gone back and seen, like, the writers, because it just didn't add up initially. But then I get your points, Justin, where it's like, is the doc actually the mastermind, or is it Sinatra? But I also I'm going to lean heavily towards it's Sinatra, because she went through all of that ordeal about losing her son and she had no control over it. So something, whatever the psychological term is, she needs to be in control of everything in her life, because there was a moment where she had none. So Dr. G is there, probably has analyzed the crap out of her on the side, because she's also, like, sidebar, she's worried about her office being bugged. So she does, unless that's, like, you know, a little red herring. Let's get out of here. But I'm like, you wouldn't have that suspicion unless you were playing your own game against the people that think that they're the ones that are in charge. So it's kind of...
I do remember that. Yeah, I do remember that part where he said, let's go for a walk, you know, and they have that talk in the park. But I also think that that is all orchestrated too, just to gain the trust of X even more.
Yeah.
You know, I totally get what you're saying too. And the whole thing, what you just said about them being talked to about playing Wii tennis, is that maybe she wants to be there too, to show, was it Robinson? Is that the name of?
Yeah.
You know, maybe to show Robinson that, you know, she's not, you know, she doesn't know as much as he does, but internally she knows everything, kind of thing. You know, maybe to put her off the map in Robinson's eyes. There's, you know, I don't know yet. You know, I can see going both ways, honestly.
So do you think, I mean, episode 4 ends, like, Billy's dead and Jane pours out the drugs on the table. So I wouldn't be shocked if episode 5 starts with, it's been set up like Billy killed the president. I mean, his fingerprints are already overturning the cameras off. The only person who knows outside of Sinatra and Jane, because Jane could, you know, corroborate. So yeah, they could use this opportunity now that Billy's dead to frame him for the murder of Cal. And Billy, I think Billy last told Professor X, he said it wasn't him. He went into it, didn't he? I think he said, like, I'll let you know everything tomorrow night.
Yeah.
That can't...
Just that to me, yeah, that to me was like the biggest cop out of writing ever. Like, you're there with him, tell him now, because you just showed us the scene where you threatened your boss. Of course you're gonna die. I don't know when, but unless you give all the information now, it's a throwaway scene. It made me mad, but sorry, continue.
Yeah, it's kind of a fail on the writing, because then they kill him off, and then it's like Professor X, all he knows is that, and this is what I think too, like, Dr. G could maybe be in on it, because we actually don't know. Like, she said that the president, Cal, came to her the day before he was killed and was, like, drunk and upset, and said to pass a message on to Professor X, like, don't trust Billy, or Billy's not safe, or something like that.
Watch out for him, or something like that.
Yeah, so he confronts him. He saw that he was lying. He says, "Oh no, no, like trust me, I'll tell you everything later." And then now they're gonna make it look like a suicide. So it's really sort of all fingers are pointing to using him as the scapegoat for the murder of the president. And so now I guess Professor X will have to sort of figure it out.
Yeah, it all sets it up to Professor X, of course, anticipating that Billy knows a lot of inside stuff, and coincidentally, he kills
Yeah.
himself. Quote unquote, kills himself.
Yeah.
So obviously, X is gonna know something is up. So I keep thinking stuff like, Sinatra should know this. If he kills Billy, then X is going to be even more, you know, pressing and trying to dig stuff. So naturally, her next move is to have him killed, right? I would assume so. But then how are you going to cover that up? You have two of one of the highest ranking, guards or whatever, axed, and then another one axed, and it seems really shady, right? So I just don't know how they're gonna dig. I really don't know how the writers or the show is gonna dig itself out of this kind of thing. Yeah, I really don't know. I guess it's like X's kind of revenge tour now because he's killed off one of his family, I guess one of his best friends down there and his family member, if you want to say it that. But he might go full rage mode and just, you know, take things in his own hands or something like that. But so the only thing that makes me not think it's G is I don't think that he will have any allies, right? He can't trust anyone. And so maybe that's the direction they're going. Maybe it's about him, taking down this whole operation solo, but I don't know. We shall see.
We shall. I had I also I agreed. Yeah, maybe she's operating on the outside, on the inside of the dome, so to speak, trying to uh, help Professor X. But then at the same time, I was like, dang, like they just slept together after one day of like therapizing together. And then I thought, well, maybe it's just like a characteristic of being stuck underground for 3 years. Maybe everybody is just like take the opportunities when they come and not gonna delay that. Because so I thought maybe he won't think of that as suspicious, because why would you be like this is like the first time that X has spoken directly with G since before they were even in the dome. So it's not like they have a relationship. He knows of her. So I was like,
Mhm.
why? Like, I'd be suspicious straight away. It's like, he's like, oh, last night was nice. It's been 3 years. I'm married, but I'll still have sex with you. But it was nice. And I would straight away be like,
Hayden, do you always turn into Borat after sex? Yeah, it's
it's
just as
nice.
nice. Nice.
Absolutely.
Oh,
I knew that. Yeah.
yes, miss.
Number one
Yes, very
prostitute.
nice.
Yeah, I'm just
Yes,
also really
sister
curious
number
as to what Cal told, or sorry, I'm curious as to why, yeah, Cal told her to, is it how it went? Just to be aware of Billy. What did he do or is it just because he'd found out about his past?
No, he told her
Yeah.
that if anything happens to him to give didn't she was meant to give him a message. Yeah.
Oh,
That Billy's not who he thinks he is or something like that. Like she says anyways that he told her to tell him that.
So he might not have said that at all. She could be planting things in
Exactly.
his head.
We're meant to believe it, but
yeah. So
if
yeah, maybe so.
yeah.
Maybe she's orchestrating something. I don't know. Could be interesting.
Because don't forget, in episode 2 she orchestrated with the whole say yes thing, and we don't know the intentions behind that. I mean,
Yes.
she did
Yes.
that to get Sinatra, which, by the way, I'd like to correct from the last episode. When I was just talking about that scene, when I was referring to Sinatra, I was saying Jane. It wasn't Jane, it was Sinatra. She used that to get Sinatra to sort of manipulate Sinatra. Like she's a smart woman, Dr. G. Like she picked and chose all the people, more or less.
Which means that she knows how many killers are down there, how many trained assassins are there.
Well, and that's the part I don't know. Is that did she select those people as well, or were they brought in specifically by Sinatra? Because I kind of have a feeling like Sinatra picked the bad boys and girls intentionally to do the dirty work, but also maybe to be the fall people in situations like this.
Yeah. I'm like I said before, I'm leaning heavy on Sinatra being some dissociative disorder where she's like, I lost everything of my world. I now have to be in control of everything. I still think that even if she didn't have direct hands in the death of Cal, the president, that whoever did is causing her little world to unravel. So hence why there's death after death now. And while she tries to clean up the mess of that, there'll be someone else. Or they'll be, they'll just drop in some random character that we've never seen before will suddenly be the one that orchestrated all of this. Who knows? Who knows? I also did have just a wild thought, just a random wild thought. They did it in one of the episode recaps where they had a voiceover of Cal talking to X saying, as the president, like I'm paraphrasing here, they tell me everything, blah, 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 aliens, blah, blah, blah. I was like, wouldn't that be a slap in the face if it was actually like an alien invasion, not an apocalyptic event, an extinction event that happened to Earth? That's my just random thought. But because one, we still don't know if it was bombs or if it was meteorite or global warming or what exactly happened to the world. Oh, on that, I'm rambling here. Sorry, fellas. We also learnt that it didn't just happen to the US. They actually made a point to say that the whole world is like this, not just the US.
Right. Good point.
Originally, I thought, was it just like an attack on the US that just like wiped them off? So, how we theorized in the last episode, why is the US even a world power anymore if there's only 25,000 of them left? But it sounds like it happened globally. So there are probably these little, dome cities all across the world.
Right. I guess we only got a glimpse of maybe a couple of minutes of what above dome looks like. It was kind of reminiscent of, what do you call it, the upside down from Stranger Things. There's no light, kind of ashy blue, no, just a dismal place. So yeah,
I mean,
I guess
if it was only the USA, why did they take planes to underground bunker and not just planes to Canada? I mean, we welcome them with open arms.
it's because of tariffs and everything.
Oh yeah.
So we'll thrive while you guys can go live in caves underground.
Yeah.
Okay, so there was some big moments we found out in this episode with Professor X and particularly his relationship with his father. And so it got me to thinking, and these are some questions I thought could be fun to ask you guys and answer them myself. So we find out through flashbacks and the conversations between Professor X and Dr. G that his father was a pilot, a very proud pilot, wanted his son to be a pilot. And then you found out he was working for the Secret Service, was still proud of him. And when you found out he got put on the VP's detail, super proud father. And they have this really good relationship. And what's interesting is sort of throughout the episode, when Dr. G starts asking him, you think maybe something bad happened. And what kind of something did? It ended on a nice note. And what I'm getting at is, in the flashback sequences, we see they play chess. And in one of their games, you see Professor X's dad go to move a chess piece and he has tremors. And Professor X picks up on it. It's like, what's going on? And it's revealed he has Parkinson's. Now he's a pilot. He has Parkinson's. Professor X, being the stand-up, always do the right thing. Guys, like, you got to quit. Like, you need to stop. You need to retire right now. You got to do it. And his dad says, I'm not ready. I got it under control. It's okay. Sort of the next time we see the flashback sequence, Professor X lets his dad know he got on, I think is the president's detail. It's a big deal. And so he takes him to see and go on board Air Force One, which was, for a pilot, he was just blown away. Very cool moment in the show. But then we also find out that Professor X submitted retirement papers for his dad because he still hadn't quit on his own or retired on his own, and his Parkinson's is getting worse. So I'm wondering, my question is, and we can kind of go about this a couple different ways. There's sort of two questions. Would you ever do something like that or narc on a close family member if, and it doesn't even have to be like, they have Parkinson's, like Shao, your dad's a brain surgeon. Like if he had Parkinson's, I mean, would you force him to quit? Probably.
Well,
but would you ever narc on, let's say they did something criminal, like really bad, and it's a loved one? Would you ever narc on them? This is one part of the question. And then another part, because I want you guys to start thinking about this, because this is where it could be a bit harder to sort of come up with an answer on the spot, is what is something that you think you could surprise one of your parents with the same way he surprised his dad with? Something that they love that you just would never expect to happen, and you can surprise them with that. What would it be?
Me booking a job. They'd be pretty
You've
stoked on
booked
that.
jobs. You've booked jobs.
Well, no, okay, well, small ones. Yeah,
but that's kind of, but that's
Shang-Chi's
you.
sidekick,
Something... Yeah.
Right. Okay, so for the first one, I'm just in that situation. That's tough. I mean, for X, I mean, I'm talking about the Parkinson's and the pilot one. Obviously, I get why he did it. And obviously, Parkinson's can progress really rapidly, suddenly, and I keep thinking, well, you can maybe just like step aside a little bit and be a co-pilot. You know what I mean? And not
Those things have autopilot anyways.
But yeah,
don't
those
they?
things fly themselves anyways. What the fuck's the big deal? Just don't
And
do
like,
the landings.
I was
Like,
gonna say,
fuck.
and when have you been on a plane that hasn't been a fucking jerky ass landing? You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. And then like
It'd be smoother,
you're
you're saying.
holding on to things and it shakes and it's like, oh, sorry, turbulence. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
10 feet off the ground. That's
Yeah.
actually when the turbulence is the worst, is 10 feet from the ground.
Yeah. So, but yeah, I don't know. We
Okay.
don't know how bad it was because at one point he said it went away because he was taking medication,
Yeah.
right? But of course, it's not forever, and he himself is not ready to do it. In my situation, I would never question my dad in terms of that because he knows what he's doing, that kind of thing. But I know in that situation, there's pride involved. There's a lot of other stuff involved. So it just becomes a matter of me thinking, okay, at this point, you're putting other people's lives at risk. Then that's when I would have to do it. But he did it before that, and so prevented any of that sketchy stuff, right? So I would eventually do it, I think. Yeah. What about you guys? Not all at once.
Not all at once, no. We're all jumping at the chance to answer this one. Now, do you want me to talk about if it was my own father or if I was X in this situation?
It doesn't, not X in this situation. If you can bring a little bit of personal experience to it, even better. Like if there's, so like even, it could even just be not retiring them. It could be narking on them. Let's say a family member of yours you knew committed a bad crime, not just like, hey, they shoplifted, but say they murdered somebody.
So I'm not going to talk about that kind of stuff, but I can.
Oh, because it happened?
I don't know.
Oh.
But I will.
Whoa.
I'm gonna say.
Whoa. Yeah.
I want to preface this. Now I have I have a lovely relationship with my dad, but it has been a complicated one, to put it simply, my entire life. Only because I didn't get to grow up with him, so I didn't get to learn who he was as a father or as a man, like the same way that other people would. Needless to say, he never was not in my life, so I know who he was as a person, but he has a history that I don't know. Same with my mother, who I actually grew up with. A history with her that I do not know. And this is the thing that bugs me. So my dad and my dad's friends that they've all known since they were in high school know my mum and what she was like as a young woman. And they're like, yeah, we're not going to tell you. You got to ask your mum yourself. And I'm like, you guys are just dangling these things in front of me. And as the youngest, I don't get told things. I know I'm a grown man now, but you still don't get told things. My brother knows more stuff than I do, or my brain tells me that he does. But anyway, my dad is in a situation where he constantly puts his own safety at risk, just because he needs to provide for himself now, right? It's just like, he's in the mining industry in Australia. He's just retired finally, but he's a broken man now. His legs are gone, his back is gone. He told me just the other day that he had a heart attack while working. It was a mild one, Jesus. But I'm like he didn't tell me when he had cancer until after he was clear. He told my brother, but he did not tell me because I was in university. He didn't want me to worry. So, like, there's a lot of complicated things, and there's so many times where I've wanted to tell my dad to stop doing his work because it's dangerous for his safety. Like, he's told me multiple times where he has cheated death, and I was like, why do you keep going back into it? So it's a tough one for me to, like, I think I would be like X in this situation if my dad and I saw something was wrong, or that he had all of these things that have happened to him. And I was in a position of, you know, being able to say that. But even now, as I'm pushing 40, that I still don't feel like I could actively say to my dad, hey dad, I want you to stop doing that because it's not safe for you, it's not safe for people that you work with, you have family, you have kids that want to see you around for a long time. Mm-hmm. So it's like, it's a tough one for me to comment on, but that's where I would be at in that scenario.
Right. Have either of you ever narked on a friend?
I don't think so. Like, if we're kind of doing a scenario where you're saying, like, if one of my friends committed murder, like, it depends who.
I mean, no, this one isn't a hypothetical. I just mean, have you ever?
Have you? No, and there was an acquaintance that I knew that I really, really should have sent him to jail, but I didn't, and I'm pissed that I didn't.
Oh, can we get into that story a bit?
Yes. So, okay, if I found out what I found out about this individual when I was still a police officer, he probably would have been in jail. But because I was no longer a police officer, I completely 180 rebelled about following the law, so to speak. And then I was like, I don't have any obligation to report this guy. He was over age, dating a minor, and
wow.
And so I was like, if I knew this 6 months ago, you would have been arrested and charged in jail. Because
this is in Australia, correct?
This is in Australia. Yeah.
It sounds like an Australian.
As it was in Vietnam, then it's like.
I was also Hayden.
No idea. Again, I wasn't friends with this guy, but we grew up through high school and college together. So I was like, he was in the same circles. But after I left school and I went off to university elsewhere, no contact with him whatsoever. But I was like, are you like freaking kidding me? So in hindsight, I should have said something. But in hindsight, I don't think that there's... My perfect little brain world tells me that everybody that was involved in that scenario is okay now. So it's like still a victim, still a predator. But I didn't do anything about it because I didn't know exactly when it happened. I just heard of it. So
Did you lose sleep over it? Like I should have, that kind of, did
No,
you?
because like I was
No,
like,
he slept like a baby, man. It didn't
Yeah, he
fucking
was so
phase him.
happy.
He was
because I
fine.
was at the time, I wanted to distance myself so much from authority and the law without breaking it myself. I just kind of disassociated for a long time there and just did Hayden things. That's so. I was like, everybody else can just fuck off. I'm gonna go back to school. I'm gonna do my own thing. I'm not gonna break the law, but I'm also not going to worry about the shit of others. That's kind of what I was at the time. So,
Mm.
Well,
what
there you
about
go.
you, Shao or Justin? Just like,
So I've not. Oh, that's not true. I I've I narked on a friend once, but
are they still your friend?
it wasn't even them. It wasn't
You just
it
threw them
wasn't
under the
even them.
bus.
But many times I've been in situations where I have been able to many times, and I have not. But this one specific time I remember because it was me and a buddy, and it was grade 12, and we only we set it up so that I only had like one class in the afternoon, and it was phys ed. And so we had a class in the morning and then spare lunch, spare phys ed, or spare lunch, phys ed, spare whatever it was. And we would only ever go like if we got really ripped before, had some drinks before. And I remember
I just want to quickly interject to let some of the international viewers know phys ed is physical education, aka gym class, perhaps.
Gym class, yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you, Shao. And I remember like I just got absolutely baked, me and another student, and then the vice principal comes into the gym class and he's like, Justin, come with me. And he pulls me in, and I was like, oh my God. Like, I was so like, I was like, it was obvious. And and so now I'm panicking because I'm like, holy shit, like he's going to know I'm going to get suspended. This isn't good. And he pulls me in, he sits me down. And I had totally forgot. We have an English teacher, and he had like the world's biggest dictionary. Like, it had every single word like imaginable in it. I'm telling you, it was like probably like 12 inches thick.
That's a thick dictionary.
Why?
For those who can see, I was doing a much smaller hand gesture, but and I don't know, like a foot and a half like long, and like
it was big
wide. Like it was big. And the words were in it were so small you needed like a magnifying glass. Like, it was packed. And he was saying like how much it was worth. And anyway, so as a joke, one day, me and some kids, we stole it from his classroom, and I hid it in my locker, and I left a ransom note, and I said,
No.
You like cut out little bits of magazine and like stuck it on there.
Yeah.
So you couldn't find your handwriting.
Bring 4 medium Slurpees and drop them off at this, and you'll see your dictionary again, or something like that. So like kind of fun, harmless, and I had it in my locker. So anyways, I think this vice principal is calling me in for being high, or I didn't know what. And so he starts talking to me about this dictionary, and I was so high, and I started panicking, and I was like, and because in the ransom note I'd said like there was like I called for multiple Slurpees, and so I said, I don't even know why, I said my buddy's name who I was in gym class with. And so
no.
And so he's like, okay. He's like, and so he walks me back to gym class. It's just around the corner from the office. And I'm walking in there, and he goes, I won't say the guy's name, but he says, oh, fuck it, I'll say it. He goes, Sean, he's like, come here. and he like looks, and he's just shy-eyed too. And so he starts walking towards me, and he sees me, and I'm like, no, like I'm shaking, like, don't worry, like kind of, it's not about being high. So then they leave, and then about 10 seconds later, it hit me that he is not involved in this, and he's getting called in, and the principal's going to tell him that I said he was. And I was like, oh my God. Like 30 seconds later, they both walk back out. The principal's like, Justin, get back over here. And I was like, oh, no. And my buddy's like, what the hell is wrong with you? I was like, I don't know what's happening, man. I don't know. And I went back in there anyways. It said it was in my locker. We went, opened my locker, and I returned it. But that was the only time. And I was just like full. Like, I didn't know what was happening. I was
So you didn't get in trouble for getting high at all?
No, not at all.
I have a question about your ransom note. Did you at all do anything to change your handwriting, or like, you know what I mean? Or it wasn't a cutout thing, right? Like the typical movie ransom note.
I wish I could just lie to you right now and make up a cool story, but the truth is I don't remember. I don't think it was
signed off in the bottom, JT.
Yeah. No, I put not JT.
Yeah. And a winky face after.
Yeah.
It is not.
I've been in situations before where I've been asked about, and I've not. But that was one situation where I was like, it was just, I think it was the drugs, man, and I was just like so caught up, and I was like, yeah. I did have actually same vice principal and another good buddy in gym class, and we both got called in because he mixed like a big thing of Sprite and vodka together, and we had it in gym class, and the teacher, I think, saw us like passing it back and forth. Sounds so ghetto right now, man. Anyways, and
Alberta,
then she calls him. Yeah, she calls him, and she's like, hey, bring that up here. And he's like, just starts like chugging it, and she's like, hey, and takes it, smells it, calls the principal and smells it, calls us both into the office. And this guy, man, as soon as he started talking, the principal was like, he started saying something, and right away he was like, Justin didn't know about it. He has nothing to do about it. It was all me. And I was like, what a solid. And the principal looks at me and he goes, is that true? And I'm like, what am I going to do? If I say no, then now he's a liar as well, right? So I was like, yeah. And he's like, okay, you can leave. And my buddy ended up eating a few days of suspension for it. But so shout out to him, stand-up guy.
Maybe he was expecting one of those Dead Poet Society moments where like everyone owns up to it. You know what I mean? And he's like, what?
Oh, he was setting me up. And I was like, yeah, I had nothing to do with it. Peace. It was my buddy Sean, though. He knew everything about it.
Did you hear he stole a dictionary too?
Yeah.
Yeah. The dictionary thief. DT.
But as far as the family thing goes, I mean, in that situation, it'd be tough if it like it got to a point I'd be like, it needs to happen. But if it was murder, there's only, I think, one crime that is the worst for me that I would probably narc on a friend or family member. But anything outside of that, no, especially not family, man. Like, blood is thicker than water. I'd swallow it.
Fair.
Well, that was a nice little deviation there from the but also, you know, it kind of gives an insight, if we were all stuck in the dome, how we would kind of cope and deal with certain scenarios that the characters themselves are finding themselves in. I just in your little story there, Justin, I'm just going to pull this out real quick and we can discuss this like maybe next episodes. But I was like, I wonder if we saw that there was alcohol, and we know that there are football fields full of alcohol for them to drink for seemingly forever. But I wonder if there's any other like vices, or if it's because it's a Disney show they're not going to bring it up. Is there any illegal narcotics? Are there any adult entertainment things? Are there like
What do you mean by adult entertainment?
Are there gonna be like strip clubs for the guys and the girls?
Whoa,
Is there gonna be?
Bro, Hayden.
Hey, relax.
Hey, when I was at
Sorry for our
university,
international friends.
I said that
Hayden's-
very nicely, because I lived in a town that was 30,000 people when I went to university, which is only slightly bigger than the Dome town. And in that town, there were adult shops and there were dance clubs with poles. Never frequented any of these because I lived
Why
out
can't you
of
say strip club?
because you
Is that
guys
such a-
have just jumped down my throat about hey.
Everybody knows they're called healers. Yeah.
No, just a side note on that. When the first sex shop opened in Bathurst, it was like a huge, like, it was like all the churchgoers of this old town were like, no, we can't have this coming into our town. It's going to turn it into debauchery. And then they just didn't give a shit when it came in because they realized that it was bringing in a ton of money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Fair enough.
they're like,
Oh, yeah.
okay, money for our
Well,
economy. Yeah, we could turn
They
our
must
back on
have
it.
something because Jane spread out all those narcotics on the table to set up Billy's
Good
fake
point.
OD.
Yeah.
But I guess they could say like they brought that in. I would be shocked if there was like hard narcotics like heroin or cocaine or anything like that. But
I
I
was
could
thinking
see
more
it-
just like weed because
some
you were talking about
weed.
being stoned. I'm like, I wonder if
Dude,
that's there.
I don't know how you could survive in a dome without weed.
The president
think he'd need it.
100% has it or had it.
Oh,
And the-
100%.
And the new guy obviously needs it. He just needs to chill. New president, chill out. Anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a bit high strung. I thought Sinatra I find is really good at knowing when, like, handling situations. Like the way she handled the board in the first or second episode. Like I loved it when she made the comment about like, when you guys are done tugging on your wieners or something like that. Like she knows when to call it out and be strong, but then she knows when to be sensitive and relatable and tell her story about her kid. Like she's very good at dealing with whatever problem is in front of her. That's one thing I really admire about her character. 'Cause she can be hard when she needs to be, but she can be soft when she needs to be.
Mm-hmm. Great mastermind. Great villain. Great villain.
Great villain.
Cut
Hey,
this bit,
really
Hayden.
quick. Because Hayden, I think you're probably about to move it on to trivia, but just really quickly. You have 5 seconds to answer this. Each of you. And I don't mean who is behind it. I mean who did it. Right now, 4 episodes, halfway in. There's 8 episodes for this season 1. Who do you think killed Bradford?
I'm not gonna go back on my word. I'm gonna say it's Dr. G. I don't know how, but I'm just gonna say it.
After the events of episode 4, I'm going to say it's Jane. No, I'm going to change that because they were playing Wii together when it happened. So far out. I'm going to go with Sinatra.
I am going to go with Robinson. Oh, I just about said his son, but Robinson.
Okay. All
Just
women
because we don't really
suspects.
have any more clues.
Yeah.
And I didn't want to pick the same as somebody else.
That's true.
Oh my God, I'm changing it.
What? To
Professor X.
you think he did it?
No, I'm going back. I'm going back to who did I say?
Robinson.
Robinson. Yeah.
Nice.
Who? Okay. Well, initially, when she threw up after the autopsy, I was like, "Oh wait, is she pregnant?" And then Sinatra did the same thing. I was like, "Nah, they just haven't seen a dead body before, so they're both like."
I think it's a dead body of a loved one. Why it hurt.
Yeah.
Or they're both pregnant. Anyway,
With the president's baby.
Ooh.
And then there's
Way
the
to leave
president's
this
wife.
episode on a cliffhanger, Shao.
that's right. That's right. Hayden,
All
do
right.
you have enough time for trivia?
Yeah,
There's
if
8
we're
minutes.
quick. We've
All right,
got
let's go.
now.
Shao specialty.
What's it called again? Dome
of knowledge.
The Dome of Knowledge. All right. Now, with those quick hypotheses on who killed the president, it's time to move on to the Dome of Knowledge. Quick little trivia game today. I don't have too many questions, even though we're doing 2 episodes, but I thought I would kind of keep it, fast and snappy for everybody. So get your dingers ready. I have 8 questions here and a bonus one. So, and then one that I don't have the answer for, but maybe one of these 2 guys does. So we'll see where we end up. All right. So question number 1. How many scientists went out into the real world?
Ding, 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 ding.
Shao.
4?
Correct.
Correct.
Ding.
Nice.
Shao, straight off
That's
the board.
one we both knew.
Yeah.
Question number 2. What reason had Billy and Jane shutting down the cameras?
Ding, 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 ding.
Oh,
Justin.
To play Wii.
Yeah. Can you tell me more
And video
specifically
games.
what they were playing?
ding, 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 ding.
Shao.
Wii tennis.
Wii tennis. Yes. So Justin gets a point. Shao gets a half point.
Nice.
Okay. Question number 3. What does Dr. Torabi or Dr. G call herself? It's the episode
Ding, ding, ding,
3
ding.
title.
Ding, ding, ding,
Justin.
Oh, fuck.
The architect of social well-being.
Correct. Ding, ding, ding. All right, Justin in with the lead. Okay, question number 4. What is the cheese made out of that's the main ingredient for the cheese fries?
Ding, ding, ding.
Justin.
It's the chemicals.
That's the flavor part of it, yeah.
Yeah.
But, okay, when she said it, I was like, what the actual fuck? Did anyone else have a guess?
No, I don't remember much of that diner scene.
Yeah. Okay, it was nut cheese. I was like, what the fuck?
Oh, right. Nut
What
cheese.
is nut cheese? I'm like, that sounds disgusting.
Well,
And
they
I
make
would've-
nut milk. They have like almond milk
nut
and
milk.
shit like that.
Yeah.
Not up my alley.
No. All right, next question. How many years have they been underground?
Ding, 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 ding.
Justin.
3.
Correct.
I didn't know that except you mentioned it in the episode.
Same. Yeah.
When you said that, I was like, is that right? Is he just making shit up? Like,
I think it was in the episode 4 when they were doing the flashbacks to the bar. So we have the first month.
Yeah.
Then we have the
Oh.
3rd month or whatever, the 6th month. And then the president's like, we've been underground for 3 years. He's like, I know what's up there. It's everything's gone up there.
Mm.
right.
Nobody knows. Next question. What game were Billy and Jane playing when Billy told her that he liked her for the first time?
Ding, 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 ding.
Shao.
Wii boxing.
I will accept
Ooh.
that. We punch out. I'll accept we
Oh,
boxing.
Nice.
I will
Yeah.
accept that.
Yeah. Nice one, Shao. Wow.
Thanks.
Whoa.
It's one-liner.
All right. Next question. What song does President Bradford's son play at the carnival? And a bonus point if you can tell me the artist.
Oh, dang.
It has to do
Yeah,
with
I have no
flowers
Starship.
and thorns and
Oh, ding, 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 ding.
Justin.
Every rose has its thorn.
Thorn.
And it sings a sad song.
Correct. Every rose has its thorn. And
Oh,
who
that's the
sings
name of it? Oh,
That's the
Yeah.
name of it.
Nice.
Who
That's,
sings it?
Shoot.
ding,
There-
ding, Guns N' Roses.
No.
Oh, I know. Oh, okay. Did you ding it?
Come
Go
Did
Shao.
you ding? Poison.
I got the
Poison.
I got the finger for that.
Yeah. I was like, I'm wearing it, but I'm like, there's no. Okay, fun fact. Poison did try to recruit Slash to be their lead guitarist, but he said no. So they were connected at some point, but no.
Right
Okay.
decision by Slash.
So
Yeah.
we have a winner, and it is Mr. Turnbull with 5 points and Xiao on 3.5. Now here is the bonus question that I didn't actually find the answer for, but maybe you guys will know it. Just for schnitz and giggles, how many different insects did they record for the dome sound effects of there being actual insects?
Ding, ding, ding.
Justin.
1,013.
There you go. I'll accept that. I remembered 1,000. I didn't remember the exact number. So, ultimate champion of Dome of Knowledge.
Did you?
He just made it up. But the number 1,000 was part of it. So if someone was going to say 1,000 something, I was going to give it to you.
So good.
Let's go.
I would have gave you a bonus point if you gave me like the THX number. If you gave me that one, I would have been like, yeah, ding, 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 ding.
Nice.
Oh, that's funny.
So, ultimate champion of round 2 of this week's episode is Justin Turnbull. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you once again for tuning in to another episode of Chummy Thumbs. You can find us on all your major social media outlets, and to all of our new international people, au revoir to our French, sayonara to our Japanese, and to our friends in the Ukraine, do popachnya. I probably butchered that, but thank you.
it.
And until next week,
Lubachnia.
Keep
on reading those mugs.
Amen. Don't forget to like and subscribe.